because we are about to embark on a journey of truth, tenacity, and transparency. Why am I on the stage today talking about mental health? Because when people introduce me, they talk about my entrepreneurship journey and all the achievements along with it. But today I stand before all of you as a survivor of depression. Thus, I'm advocating for mental health. This is not a lecture. This is about making meaning of mess. This is about understanding that the mind works in binary. Is it? No. It is a complex calculus that is waiting to be deciphered. And the stats that you guys see here today is not just mere statistics. They are reality glaring at each and every one of you to tell you that, hey, let it go. Shake up that fear and let's together tread on a path of faith and fortitude. In the world that we live today, mental health is still treated as a taboo. Because the moment you say you don't feel well here, the first question people ask you, are you mad? Why? Fix yourself. It's very rarely people tell us or ask us what's going on. How can I help? What can I do to elevate you of your pain? Do you want to talk to me? Shall we have a conversation? When I was 16, and I was in two minds whether I want to pursue entrepreneurship or I wanted to follow the footsteps of my parents who are both doctors, trust me, I was in a huge dilemma battling an issue nobody talks about. Self-questioning, self-doubt. But I pulled forward and I decided that I will do something that makes me feel good enough about myself. And that's how the journey of entrepreneurship started. But while it sounds very fancy when people introduce a great profile, we often do not think about things that actually helps us get there. In today's digital world, where it's an explosive environment where you're constantly comparing yourself to the set standards of those who don't even matter in your life. You're looking at videos of people who you believe are a great source of inspiration. You don't even know the darkness that they're dealing with. Because everything is so beautiful outside. We all pull ourselves together, wear some good clothes, put on some makeup, do our hair. But most of you, who I either spoke to yesterday or today, would not have guessed that I battled depression for a long time. I had self-doubt. I've questioned myself many times. The society has made me question myself many times. Trust me, even after building 2 successful startups and selling, and me being a big investor myself in a lot of startups, when I built my third company and I went to ask for funding, the things that I heard in the first few meetings were no, 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 no. I had a choice. I could either take no as a negative connotation and let it dictate my way of thinking, or I could change perspective. No, to me, is next opportunity. No, to me, is a filter that eliminates what is not necessary for my life. No, to me, is a power that allows me to make choices that will take me to the next step of my life. So things that we talk about, comparison. Of course I had comparisons. Imagine 2 surgeon parents, and your daughter says she wants to be an entrepreneur. The first thing my dad asked me, are you going to go door to door and start selling things? I'm like, no, Dad, that's not what entrepreneurship is. I will build something of my own so that I'm no longer a job seeker, but I'm a job creator. And I do not want to heal people with medication. I want to heal people with motivation, because motivation has more power than medication. I believed that instant gratification is not about the reward you get when you accomplish something momentarily. Because that's what instant gratification is, right? All of you have brilliant ideas all the time. When you want to quickly implement the idea, you want instant appreciation. Don't we all? Of course we do. We all want a pat on our shoulders, somebody telling us you did a great job. That's instant gratification. But that stays for a very small period of time. And because of this comparison, instant gratification, you start procrastinating. Is it me? Shall I do it? Is this meant for me? Am I good enough? Will I be able to accomplish? How about we figured out a way to uncomplicate that? To uncode the complex calculus of the mind by actually starting by being grateful. Many of us never even look at the fact that we are so grateful to be a part of an ecosystem that allows us to flourish. We have a support system, we have mentors, we have teachers who pull us up from the deepest of the mess of mind. I was the first ever in my family to get accepted at MIT. I was one of the youngest to have an opportunity to work with Dr. Amar Bose. But guess what? After 15 years of entrepreneurship, I went back to Harvard again to study. Because I figured being a founder and being an entrepreneur is not the same thing. Sometimes being a founder and CEO is not the same thing. A founder has a great idea. An entrepreneur knows how to execute the great idea. But a CEO knows how to take a company not from just 0 to 10, but 10 to 100, despite all odds, all challenges, all negations, because you need to change your perspective. 2022, I was raising money for my company, Asidus, which today is $1 billion company. All I needed was money to scale. We've been profitable since day one. One of our biggest competitors, CloudTel, which was an Amazon-funded company along with Narayan Murthy, went out of business because they flouted all the rules of execution in India, and you don't mess with the government. But here was an opportunity for us to become the next billion-dollar company because we were CloudTel into 10. They were just in India, we were in 20-plus countries. So I had a phenomenal pitch that was ready, with great numbers. We were already doing north of 300 million. So I went to some of the best investors saying, you know what, I think it's a fantastic journey. We're not chasing valuation, we're chasing value creation. I believe I can take this company IPO and actually show how e-commerce, middleware distribution, and supply chain can change the future of how consumption happens. The first 37 pitches were all no's. And I was like, hold on, I've done this before. Why are they saying no? A lot of times it was because I was a solo woman founder. And I told them my co-founder is my team. But in most cases, it was because I'm a woman. And I'm telling you, standing here today, no matter how progressive the world gets, you cannot ask for equality. It is not possible because equality doesn't exist between two genders with your XX and your XY chromosome. What exists is equity. And your equity, especially women. Look at it. Why is that we run the biggest financial institutions in the world, whether it's the International Monetary Fund, the biggest banks, it's run by women. Women are generally good with money. The reason our grandmoms or moms took money from the wallet of our fathers and grandfathers because they knew how to save for a rainy day. So even though there are less than 2% women entrepreneurs that run companies, 78% of them run successful companies. And despite the 98% men, 87.8% fail. So the statistics tells that the power of XX chromosome is such that you know how to create because you know how to give life. Therefore, your ability to nurture over nature is more powerful, and thus you build more profitable companies. But I heard the no's. And I started self-questioning myself. I thought maybe I'm not good enough. I've never built a company this big. Because all the companies that I built All were exited at a certain value, 30, 35 million. But here I was building already a company that was over 300 million. And they were saying no. So what do you think I did? I picked myself up, stood one day in front of the mirror. I stood naked, and I asked myself, am I proud of what I already have achieved? Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm still waiting for that validation. Maybe I'm still expecting somebody to hold me, hug me, and tell me I am good enough. Nobody will give you that hug if you don't know how to hug yourself. Nobody's going to give you that validation if you do not know how to validate it for yourself. And why I picked up these two stotrams from Bhagavad Gita and Yoga Sutra is because it just reminds you that all power is within you and you can do anything and everything. No is the next opportunity. Comparison is nothing but a hollow grave that you dig for yourself slowly to get yourself out of the menace, which already is looking for meaning. When I was battling depression, the first thing I did was call my dad. And I told my dad, I don't feel well. I would wake up every morning and I had this innate need to feel like I wanted to cry nonstop. I didn't want to tell my friends because they're going to judge me. That's what happens, right? We're scared of judgment. We're scared of people questioning and we opening our deep desires to share it with them. So I called my dad. Somehow felt he's going to understand. And he did. He put me in touch with the best therapist. And my now husband, then life partner, told me, don't worry, you got this. And guess what? The moment I changed self-doubt into gratitude and I started writing what I was grateful for and how amazing I was and started writing about things that I've accomplished and started feeling grateful for that, things started changing. I raised the biggest Series A in the history of any woman entrepreneur solo-founded company. $15 million within a matter of 3 months and had the most coveted investors signing a check. Guess what changed? I was now throwing back into the universe what I was capable of. I now knew the ones that said no to me then were not meant for me. Today, the same guys write back to us asking a smallest of equity at 3x the valuation so that they could be a part of this journey. Because they know, here is a girl who's not going to let anything come in the way of her determination, perseverance, and commitment to become the first Asian woman to go IPO on New York Stock Exchange. And nothing will stop me from making that happen. Because what changed in me was that fear has no power over faith. And faith dictates your vision and your virtues. So to all the women, whenever they say you're not good enough, tell them if it was not me, you wouldn't exist. Because I'm a womb plus a man, not to woo a man. And to all the men, behind every successful woman, there are many men. I have an army of men standing behind me who are supporting my vision to constantly see me successful, starting from my dad, to my husband, to my CEOs, to my CSOs, an army of men. Because the moment the binary changed, the moment the thought process changed, that it's not that we are in a fight. It's not that it's a question of equality at all. What makes me win is what I'm going to choose for myself. And that is irrespective of gender. Our face-to-face communications has now been replaced by digital communication. Today, to me, that is one of the biggest barriers that stops you from actually channeling your energy in the right direction. How many of you here have a community that you can talk to if you are not feeling well one day? When your mind hurts, when that heartache is just killing you, when you do not know where to go, when you have a fallout with your life partner or your business partner and you don't know where to seek help from. Is there a community that we can talk to? You know, our parents had that. They were not on WhatsApp messaging each other. They were not busy on Instagram scrolling through reels. They spoke. I had a very healthy family that would sit at dinner without phones. And for a long time, I was on phones every dinner because all I'm doing is constantly being on top of my game. Then came along my husband who said, hold on, what is going to change in that 30 minutes? Nothing. You have the key. You have the power. The house is not going to burn down if you don't revert to them in that 30 minutes. So we, as a principle, put our phone away on every meal that we have. We communicate because communication leads to collaboration. Communication leads to collaboration. Collaboration leads to consensus. Consensus helps us heal. Sometimes you need that to be able to elevate from the noise that is constantly surrounding us, from the drama that is constantly grappling us. We need to elevate ourselves above that. And that better life, and if any one of you have ever been to Scandinavia, that's where my husband is from, they have the happiest countries in the world. Do you know that? Do you know why they have the happiest countries in the world? Because their metrics is not chasing money. Their metrics is finding time for yourself to do things that make you happy. Swimming, sports, music, other activities. And so what I started doing was this. From working 14 hours a day, I made it to 4 hours a day. From not making time for music, which is what makes me very happy, I'm a trained classical singer, I started making time for that. We took up a new sport. We figured out new ways to collaborate. My husband has ADHD, so he can't read constantly. So he started reading to me as if he's telling me a story. So my purpose is to create more millionaires in my company so that each one of them can go lead and live a life of their dream. My purpose today is not to be the first woman to just ring the bell, to have that $1 billion exit. My purpose today is what I didn't have when I was battling my challenges and breaking those glass ceilings. I want to be that leader who eats last and enables her team and her community to succeed.